Hello, hi, and welcome back to the library. Today I have something a little different for you. A video that is not about a book. I know, I'm a shitty librarian. But let me explain. I started getting clips of the movie Waves on my FYP and it made me curious. So, as I do, I went looking for a video essay on it and I couldn't find one. I'm not saying they don't exist, I'm saying I personally couldn't find one. So, why not make it? However, I had zero idea what I was signing up for. I laughed, I cringed, and I cried like a fucking baby. And this is also the first Alexa Demie project I've seen because I refused to watch Euphoria. Waves is a 2019 A24 film that flew pretty under the radar. I am big into A24 films and I had no idea about this one. So I was pretty excited. It's a combination of psychological romance and drama. You're spoon-fed pieces of information at different times that make sense of previous questions. I won't lie, I still have some questions about the movie, but I will save those for my final thoughts at the end. The movie is essentially cut in half following two siblings, Tyler and Emily. We get two completely fleshed out stories, which probably explains why this movie is 2 hours and 15 minutes. Let's get started. I will say that the movie is essentially a series of screen packs with fade to black or jump cut transitions, so there's not a lot of gradient in the cinematography. It's very choppy. Just making you aware in case this video does also seem choppy. We get our first piece of this within the first 5 to 10 minutes of our film. Our movie opens up on a girl we later learn is Emily riding a bike. No idea why this is included, just to immediately cut to her brother Tyler and his girlfriend Alexis in the car. Jump to Tyler at wrestling practice inside, and then another cut to him training outside. And this is where we learn Alexis is a cheerleader. And this is the only instance of it ever being mentioned. It's never brought up again. We cut to Tyler at home, and this is where we meet his mother, Catherine, father, Ronald, and officially meet Emily. In his room, he starts taking shirtless selfies when Alexis, who is in his phone as Goddess, texts him Boppy. And now I'm cringing. Teenagers are so fucking cringe. The following morning, after a night of partying with Alexis, his father wakes him to train early in the morning before church. And because of this, he's actively falling asleep during the service. If you listen to the sermon that the pastor is giving, it's a little foreshadowy.
There used to be an old thing when I was growing up that says it takes a village to raise a child. It's going to take that same village to bring us back to love.
We then jump to more training, and this is our first glimpse into how important wrestling is to his father. It sort of blurs the lines. Does Tyler want this, or does his dad? On the opposite side, you have Alexis, whose parents seem normal. They have dinner with Tyler and all seems well. Something you may notice in these clips is Tyler's hair going from black to blonde without explanation. Well, we get that explanation here, which is simply that Alexis did it. It's a small example of what I mentioned about being spoon-fed us information after the fact. Something else that is of major importance is his shoulder. Tyler's shoulder is fucked up. And once he's home, he starts taking his father's oxy to deal with the pain. This unfortunately proves successful because he does win his first wrestling meet of the season. Unfortunately, Ronald still finds fault in what Tyler did. He could have done it better. He could have pinned the other guy faster. I don't know wrestling. We're just being shown how domineering Ronald can be. Things only get worse for Tyler when, after downing more pills and vodka, Alexis texts him that her period is late. He does not react at all. He opts to continue his life as if that potential baby is not in his future. He talks to his mom about the Maverick Ball. Very important. I don't have a segue for this, so I'm just gonna say it. There's another jump cut. This time, Tyler's at the doctor alone. I had originally wondered why he was there alone, but it's established that he's a senior in high school and a legal adult, so it makes sense in hindsight. There's a big problem with this visit. The doc tells them that he has a level 5 slap tear. Don't ask me what that is. What I do know is that he needs surgery or he faces irreversible damage. Given how the wrestling season just started, he's trying to negotiate getting it in summer after the season. No, that's not how this works, Pookie. To cope with the news, he drinks, which is kind of the beginning of the end for him. He has potentially no wrestling and a potentially pregnant girlfriend. The world is literally ending for him. Despite it all, he does continue to wrestle with an increasing aggression. He made his sparring partner bleed, and then he walks off with training with his father. So what does any father do? Ronald tries to talk to Tyler, except it goes horribly wrong because this man has zero idea how to talk to his son.
You think if I quit my job and stopped running your mother's business, that you'd have a place to even lay that big head of yours? Huh?
No.
Then what's up? If you can't keep it going, you can forget about hanging out with your friends or running around with that little girl of yours. Quit shaking your head at me, boy.
Of course, on the same note, Tyler is being openly disrespectful, but his father has, I feel, the responsibility as the parent to guide the conversation productively. We're shown the more aggressive side of both Ronald and Tyler. Like father, like son. Another example of this is when Tyler loses his wrestling match due to his shoulder. The injury is now too severe for him to continue. As you can see right here, Ronald can't even look at Tyler. At home, he is furious, calling it sheer stupidity that Tyler ruined his wrestling career, all within earshot of Tyler himself. Ronald is mad at the doctor for not telling them about the injury, but dude, HIPAA exists, he's 18, and though I believe it was a dumbass decision, it is ultimately his decision to make. This takes a toll on him mentally, which we will see how badly when he meets back up with Alexis to discuss her period, which is still late. He appears supportive at first, but that's only because he's taking her to get an abortion. He drives her to the clinic with the intentions of just dropping her off, which is like, no, you better get your fuckhead ass out this car and do this with me. Luckily for me, Alexis gets that point across and we see them both go inside the clinic. Alexis is in the back and Tyler's in the waiting room. From here, we have the security guard come in and he has this little monologue about the protesters outside. I'm going to show as much of it as I possibly can because I think it is really good. I think it's really good. It has no overarching impact to the story, but that doesn't negate how impressive I find the moment.
All right. I also seen her try to convince a young woman not to go through the procedure because they promised her to adopt a child. And guess what? They didn't. Didn't help her out at all. And guess what? She's stuck. They tell me worse things every single day, and I gotta take it. But listen, I'm here for y'all, all right? But all I ask in return is that you're here for me as well.
Moving on, Alexis storms out because she couldn't go through with it. The talk between the couple gets a little heated, and he's only pissed off more when the protesters, well...
Hey, leave him alone. What? What the fuck you just said to me?
Yeah. Moving on swiftly. In the car, the argument heats up even more. Alexis wants to talk more about the baby. She doesn't feel they've had enough of a full conversation, and they just kind of jumped into abortion. At the same time, Tyler is mad that she didn't go through with it. He believes that they're too young to have a baby, and Alexis says it's her body and she reserves the right to think about it. Strong agree. Alexis demands that he stops the car and be let out. He complies, and she walks home on her own while he drives off fuming. Again, we are shown Tyler coping with stress with pills and alcohol. I believe the pregnancy situation is just one more thing to push him over the edge into the pitfall of drugs and alcohol. This is further evident when Tyler goes to a party and gets really messed up. His friends have to drag him out of there. They are some real friends though, because he does make it home safe, but he does start puking so loud and aggressively that his sister finds him and he starts to cry and apologize for everything. At this point, he's still aware that everything he's doing is still wrong, but he keeps doing it. He sobs into his sister's arms, showing that his control of himself is just deteriorating. Unfortunately, the king of self-destruction is not done being, you guessed it, self-destructive. He texted an apology to Alexis saying he's an asshole and that he wanted to still go to the dance with her. We have bigger issues to worry about, but pop off, I guess. Alexis apologizes as well and tells him that she wants to keep the baby. Tyler tries to keep it together, but that does not go well. He wants to drive to her home and talk about it, but that's when she learned that Alexis already told her parents and she does not want him to come. They are done. Yes, Alexis has completely cut off their relationship after seeing how toxic it was progressing, which is only further proven by the fact that Tyler trashes his room in anger. His anger is on the uptick upon seeing Alexis going to the dance with another guy. Tyler snorts pills and drinks heavily before deciding to leave and find her. He's then stopped by his mother, who in a heated conversation we learn is actually not his biological mother. Catherine is Tyler and Emily's stepmother, with their bio mom passing when they were young. Tyler stands there and calls the woman who raised him pathetic and tells his father that he hates him. The encounter had turned physical when he and his father were about to come to blows, and Tyler pushes him down, injuring his already injured knee. Tyler floors it out of there and heads to the after party for the dance, which is at some random house not far from his. A friend stops him because Catherine called, and instead of calling the cops, you have Catherine calling people and Ronald trying to track him down, just so you know what's happening simultaneously. Tyler says he's fine and goes inside to see Alexis going upstairs with the guy. Tyler drinks more to work up the courage to confront her. He goes to take a piss and they actually zoom in on his hands, which feel like heavy foreshadowing, and you will see why. He eventually confronts Alexis as she is retrieving drinks for her friends, not herself. And the guy she was with was actually her gay best friend since elementary school. Alexis accuses Tyler of never listening to her because if he had, he would have known who the guy was. In a manic state, Tyler starts saying that they can keep the baby, but Alexis does not want to raise the baby with him. I have no idea why. This continues to escalate until he punches her unconscious, resulting in her hitting her head on the concrete garage floor. He sobs over her body, begging her to wake up, and that's when a random party attendee finds them and Tyler bolts. I told you that Ronald was also looking for Tyler. While this was occurring, Catherine was able to get the address of the party and relayed it to Ronald. So he pops up just as the ambulance is rolling Alexis out. Emily is there completely traumatized as she also saw the body. Emily is able to convey that it was Alexis in the ambulance and that Tyler was at the party. This results in Ronald's heartbreaking conclusion that whatever happened, it was Tyler. Tyler arrives home with the cops outside with the intent to change and flee, but he ends up running directly into the cops. Dumbass. This scene is actually cut to 4:3, which is a perfect way to do this because you could only focus on Tyler's face as it's reflected in the police lights. It's a very powerful image. You can just see everything crashing down on him all at once. From here, it cuts to the remaining family, Emily, Ronald, and Catherine in the car. Emily looks utterly drained. Ronald tries to take Catherine's hand, but she pulls it away, clear signs of marital strife. And Catherine was not able to hold it together when Tyler pleads guilty, getting life in prison with parole after 30 years. And across from them are Alexis's parents, who are holding firm to each other through everything. Everything going forward from this point is following Emily and the aftermath of what Tyler did. Luckily, it doesn't look like that the kids at school are treating her any different. It's unknown if she was like this before or not, but she is certainly isolating herself now. While she is isolating herself, a boy who bumped into her right here approaches her to apologize and asks her out. It's cringy, it's awkward, but it does give authenticity.
Total shot in the dark. Would you maybe want to break something to eat with me later?
What? The date is also awkward, but endearing. The boy, Luke, tells her to fuck the haters who sent her terrible messages on socials, which is why she deleted them. Luke doesn't care about the whole Tyler incident. He cares about Emily and Emily only. This blossoms into a cute little romance between the two. We get a montage of them going on dates, which is really nice. She does, however, meet up with friends to drink and smoke weed, which isn't bad in itself, but since she's still a child, this is very bad, especially taking into account how slippery that slope is based on how fast Tyler progressed into his own downward spiral. There's also trouble between Ronald and Catherine. They're heard arguing about how absent Catherine has been since the arrest, and she admits that she blames Ronald for pushing Tyler too far. Though I do not disagree that Ronald pushed him too far, I believe it was a combination of things. His father, his addiction, and Alexis. That really sent him over. And to be clear, I'm not blaming Alexis. How Tyler was dealing with these issues is the main issue. Emily leaves with Luke to get away from this, and she tells him that their bio mom had actually died from an overdose when she was little, showing that Tyler is not only deep into addiction, but he's also continuing the cycle, which is so heartbreaking. Next, we have Ronald and Emily fishing together. Unlike how he approached Tyler, he approaches Emily in a much more demure, open type of way.
I just wanted to apologize. Feel like we haven't spoken in some time, and I'm responsible for that.
Which to me feels like he learned his lesson after Tyler. They have a genuine conversation where Ronald opens up about his issues with Catherine, and Emily explains her guilt over Alexis's death because she did see Tyler following her. I understand her guilt, but I really don't think there's anything she could have done. He was intoxicated and angry. He had already assaulted their dad. There was nothing his baby sister could have done, in my honest opinion. And at this point, I started crying. It's so intensely emotional. They're both so vulnerable with each other. It's hard not to shed a few tears. The problem with this movie is once I started crying, I couldn't stop. Emily, she's good at putting me in my feelings, I tell you. Because this girl tells her boyfriend that they are going to visit his dying father. Which Luke is initially unreceptive to this because his dad was abusive to both him and his mother. However, Emily believes that he will end up regretting it if he doesn't. He gives in and they lie to their parents to drive the 2 days it takes to go see his dad. We have a montage of sweet moments that occur between leaving and arriving at the hospital. It's predicted that the dad has about a week left, but when they show up and Luke forgives him, the dad does try to hold on for longer. His father sobs into his son's arms, which triggers the memory of Emily and Tyler when Tyler was sobbing in her arms earlier in the movie. And you know who else is sobbing? Me, goddammit. The second half of this movie is really rough. Luke's father eventually passes away in his sleep. This is the climax for the second half, and the rest is just wrapping things up in a neat little bow. We get an update on Tyler in prison, who's holding a photo of Alexis, and he's seen praying over his food, signaling that he may be using religion to deal with the situation. I'm not religious, but this is miles better than what he was doing. And Catherine is going to visit him. Unfortunately, we do not get to see the encounter, but when she does return, she's sitting on Tyler's bed when Ronald finds her. They touch hands, but she doesn't pull away. It's indicating that they're going to be okay at some point. Tyler found God, the Lopezes are leaning on each other, Luke and Emily are happy, and so will the parents. That's as good of an ending as we could possibly get with the horrors of the first half. I feel like they decided to do 2 full stories, the incident and the aftermath, because the plot line is described as a wave. The intro, the rising action, the climax, falling action, and resolution. We have 2 of these in waves. The intro into Tyler and Alexis' relationship, the increasing toxicity that led to her death, getting caught, and then eventually sentenced. We see a similar structure to a much less intense degree with Emily's story. There, she is going to school, meeting and dating Luke, until they go to Missouri and his dad passes away. Catherine visits Tyler and ultimately reconnects with Ronald. Whether this was intentional or not, I do not know. This is just what it seems like to me. And I did also mention I had some questions about this movie. Catherine is said to have a business helping patients, but Ronald runs it, but he also works in construction. That little tidbit was just a tad confusing. It really wouldn't have been that big of a deal if they didn't mention it multiple times throughout the thing. Question 2. Why do Tyler's parents not know Alexis? Ronald mentions her twice, and both times he calls her Tyler's girl. Yet we saw him having dinner with the Lopezes. Why was that relationship so one-sided? One major question that I did have is in regards to Emily. I never understood why Emily had to lie to her parents. I feel like the road trip she was on was a very noble and endearing cause. I don't feel like she needed to lie. I don't understand it. And even when her parents found out that she had lied, they just text confirmation that she was okay. I don't even know if they knew about Luke. I don't know why these children are not telling their parents about their significant others. But all I can say is I think what she did was good. I don't think that Luke is going to have any regrets. I just don't understand why they had to be so secretive about it. And when you watch the film for the first time, it may feel like it's too long, but once you get to the fishing scene, things start to get emotional enough you stop caring about the time. It is a long movie with a lot of jump cuts and fade to blacks. I feel like, though, the acting and the cinematography really make up for it, and the soundtrack is perfection. The first half fits Tyler perfectly, and the second half fits Emily's quirkiness. Chef's kiss. 7 out of 10. And that's all I have for you today. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and don't forget to drink water and return your library books on time, or else.